Hopper here, and today at the United Women on the Fly tying table, we're going to be tying booby flies. Now this is a great fly that can be used for still water, and we are specifically going to be using this at Pyramid Lake. So I am using, to start, I'm going to use a size 10 Daiichi 1530. I'm going to just be using white thread. I'm going to wrap my thread to the front part of the hook here. And the first thing that we're going to do is put on those booby eyes. So the booby eyes come in packets of 10, and they come in a tube like so. So you can get 3 booby flies out of 1 tube. I'm going to cut it into thirds. And when I'm tying on this booby fly, you want to basically split this eye, and you want to have it just right where your thread's starting, and you're going to first start tying it on the side of the hook. So I'm going to just do a nice loose wrap, and I'm going to wrap 3 times. Now if it's not exactly even, then that's okay. You can always cut that at the end. So it's going to be like that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to turn it to where it's facing the front of the fly. Now I found that this foam, regardless of how secure you place it onto the shank of the hook, it might twist a bit. So I'm going to just put a little bit of glue. So the tying technique to securely place these eyes onto the shank of the hook is going to be the figure 8 technique. So I'm going to just figure 8 these eyes on. Kind of wrap around the eyes as well, just to keep them even more secured if needed. So next step that we're going to do is we're going to turn our fly to the right side, and you want to wrap your thread to the back of the hook. Basically you want to stop your thread right at that hook bend. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to use is we're going to do chenille. We're going to wrap a chenille body. Okay, so now with this chenille, I'm going to pull off a little piece where I can have a tag end that I can actually tie on that chenille with a soft loop, also known as the pinch loop. And basically with that loop, what we're trying to do is just get your material on the top of the shank of that hook. So now you want to just wrap your thread all the way up to the front of the hook and just wrapping in that chenille tag that you just created. And this will just basically allow that chenille to be held even more in place. Okay, so our next step is we're going to wrap the chenille around the hook shank. And I tend to wrap away from me. So you're just going to make nice even wraps up to the front of that hook. Now when I'm tying off my fly, I tend to take the material, I hold it straight up. I'm going to wrap twice behind the material, and then I'm going to wrap a couple of times in front. And that will allow your material to be secured. And then I'm going to cut off that chenille. So our next step is we're going to wrap our Marabou tail. So the first color I'm going to use is the Chartreuse Marabou. Now you want to make sure that your tail is about 1.5 times the shank of that hook. So you're going to be wrapping on this material with a soft loop or pinch wrap. And you want it to be just right on the top of the shank of that hook. Perfect. Okay. So the next color that we're going to use is going to be a white Marabou. So you're going to just wrap in the exact same spot that you wrapped before, using the same length of the tail, 1.5 times the shank of that hook. Now we're going to cut this excess. A trick here is to just kind of twist those feathers together, so that way you have an area that you can more closely cut. You want to make sure you don't cut the other feathers. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to wrap a couple of times. 2, 3, 4, and you want to whip finish behind those eyes, so you might need to create a bigger triangle. And then one more time for good measure. Get off. And you have now tied the booby fly.